Understand JavaScript events. So how we can handle the events in JavaScript. So if you do any events like mouse click and keyboard press and all, so the event can be generated and you can respond some action in turn. So let us understand in details what is event. So events, by using JavaScript, we have the ability to create dynamic web pages. Events can action that can be detected by JavaScript. They are objects with properties. Every element on web page has certain events which can trigger JavaScript functions, right? So once I click, one function will call and do some job, what are the descriptions and what are the stuff you have performed in the action. So for example, if we can use the onClick event of a button element to indicate that a function will run when a user clicks on the button. We define the events in the HTML tag, like we are having certain different type of events like mouse click, right? Or could be like a page or an image loading. So once the page loaded, something will happen. Once the page unload, also something can happen, right? So that all we can perform here. If image is loading, we can perform some job there. And then mousing over a hot spot on the web page, selecting an input box in HTML form, submitting an HTML form, right? And a keystrokes and all. So if you click or if you press some button, if you release some button, something will happen. That all we can do. So JavaScript defines 5 type of events, which are form, image, and image map, and we can say link and window events, right? So these are the 5 type of events: form, image, image map, link, and window events. So the events are associated with the HTML tags. Okay, well, now look at here form events. In the form events, say we are having the blur, on change, on focus, on reset, on select, on submit. This kind of events we are having. On blur means if once we are losing the focus from one field, something, some method will invoke. So the input focus lost, right? Change, the element lost the focus since it was changed. On focus, as we get inside the field and as the focus obtained. Reset, the user reset the object, usually a form. Select, some text is selected, like we select like this, right? Okay, some selection is there. On submit, the user submitted an object, usually a form. Generally in the form, once I submit the form, something will happen. So on submit event is there. These all events are related to the form only, right? Another image event, abort, a user action caused an abort, right? Error, on error, so if error occurred. Load, on load, if object get loaded. Image map event, so mouse out, mouse over. Once the user bring the mouse on the some of the object, so on mouse over, okay, and so image map events on mouse out. Once we bring the cursor, and suppose I'm bringing the cursor here and then coming out, right? So there are several events we are having. So be understood here on mouse out, mouse over, and here be understood about on error, on load, on unload is also there. We'll see all these examples. Link event, on click, an object was clicked. On double click, double click is there. On mouse or on mouse over we can use on the link. Once the someone bring the mouse on the link, something will happen, some highlight will happen. If once it is going out, you might have seen lot of menu there, right? Once you are bringing the mouse on the menu, some background is changing. Once you are removing, the background is again resetting back. So lot of job we can perform from this guy, like on mouse or on mouse over, that is available in the link events as we understood here, right? Good. So these are the three now. Window event, on blur, on error, on focus, on load, on unload, that we can use. So if the object get exited, on unload. If object was loaded, on load. Object focus obtained, similarly focus losing, on blur. If error occurs, on error, right? So we have a several events with window events. Now you can see we are having several tag in HTML, right? So we can apply the events on almost all the tag. Let us talk about the anchor. If we are having anchor tag, in the anchor tag we are having on click, on mouse out, right? So on mouse over, on mouse out, we can just say this and we can give effect on the link, right? Similarly for area tag, same, mouse over and mouse out. For body tag, we are having on blur, on error, on focus, on load, on unload. So once the body get focus on, once the body get loaded or get unloaded, some functionality will happen. So you need to call it the methods, the functions which you have defined there. I'm using sometime functions and methods, so it is all same. So don't confuse with that. Now in the form we are having on submit, on reset. So once someone click on the button reset, okay, on reset some cleaning will happen in the form. Okay, or some reset the previous value, like that. It could be the logic which you have written there. In a frame, same on blur and on focus. Frame set, it is like window only. Okay. For image, we are having on abort, on error, on load, right? Well, so next is the input type button. Click, on click, input type checkbox. So if it is checkbox, on click. For reset, on click, right? On click you can use for submit also. For text box you can use this. On blur means once the lose the focus, change the background color of the text box. Once it receive the focus, change the background color of the text box. On change, if any changes happen. On select, like that. There's a select tag if you remember for making a drop down, and in this case we have on blur, on focus, on change. Similarly on the text area, on blur, on focus, on change, and on select. So these are the events we are having for the several tags which we use in HTML, right? We'll see some of the examples in the subsequent slide. Now, how these events work, look at here. So some of the events in JavaScript are explained in the details are as follows. You can notice here on load and on unload. The on load and on unload events are triggered when the user enters or leaves the page, right? Onload event is often used to check visitor browser type and browser versions and load the proper version of the web page based on the information, right? So once onload the page, we can get, we can come to know the browsers, what kind of browsers these clients are using, and accordingly we can render the page in the browser as per the browser setup, right? Both the onload and on unload events are also often used to deal with cookies that should be set when a user enters or leaves the page. So that's the purpose of onload and onload. For example, you can understand like you could have a pop-up asking for the user's name upon his first arrival to your page. The name is then stored in the cookie, and next time the visitor arrive at your page, you could have another pop-up saying something like welcome John Doe. Okay, so you can give whatever the name is passed, you can just keep displaying on the top of the page so that you can have some welcome message. On focus, on blur, and on change, you can look it here. So the on focus, on blur, and on change events are often used in combination with validation of form fields. Okay, so you can see the example here on change event. So let us say we are having one function check email. Okay, so consider we are having a function check email, and we have written some code or some business logic inside this check email. Okay, and once we have a text box with email ID, and we can say on change call this function. So it will call this function and do the check whether user has entered the correct format of email or not. Is this clear? Okay, so for this purpose we can see on change. If any changes happen with the email ID, this function will call and say check it. Okay, on submit, the on submit event is used to validate all form fields before submitting it. Following is an example how to use this on submit event. Let us say check form is there, and if the field value are not accepted, the submit should be cancelled. Okay, so the function check form returns either true or false. If it returns true, the form will be submitted, otherwise submit will be cancelled. So we can write this code here, say form. We are having form open and form close. In the method we can say method equal to post, and we are performing certain action here, right? And there we are writing on submit return check form. So this check form will write some code and then find it. If all the field has been entered correctly, then submit this form, else cancel it and come back to the form again, right? So that's the purpose of on submit event here. Okay, now next is the on mouse over and mouse out. So on mouse over and on mouse out are often used to create animated buttons. So if I bring the mouse on certain button, it will have a different effect. If I bring out back, so it will have another effect, right? So you can see this example of on mouse over and on mouse out. I have one image here. So you can see image, src, width, height, right? src, some image is there, and closing anchor here, opening anchor here. In the anchor I'm writing here on mouse over alert this message, right? And return false. So once I bring the mouse on the image, the message will come and mouse over event, right? Understood? Yeah. You can see the good example here I have made. So if I click on the button, I mean this image is here, I am not having button here. If I click on this image, it will give this effect. So it will light up, right? If I again click, it will off. So we can make a effect like switching on and switching off the bulb. Now how we can do that? Consider image, one image is there, and I am saying on click call this function, border and all, image is there. So initially I have one image, this is my image, and image is bulb of .gi. Okay, If I say on click, it will call change image. So change image will go here and call it this functionality. What I'm doing here, if a status equal to 0, make it a status 1 and say document.get element by id my image, right? Dot src bulb on.gf. So we are changing the source of the bulb. I mean source of the image. Initially it was the bulb off, now it is a bulb on. Again if I click, now it is checking what is the status. Is it 1? Then go for here and make it off. So it will keep switching on off. Once you click on the on, it will become off. If you click on the off, it will become on. So very easily we can have a different set of images and we can give a good animation on that, right? By using on mouse over and on mouse sort. I hope you understood this example now. So next is the on blur and on focus. Look at here. This is the text box. I have created one. You can see here, enter your name, right? So I'm saying here input type text name equal to T1, on blur F1, on focus F2. So once I click on the here, okay, this F2 will call, and F2 is doing what? Making it green. So it will become green. Once you come out from this text box, it is calling F1. And what is F1? Call this F1 and say make it yellow. So once losing the focus of the field, I mean getting call one event on blur and calling method F1. Okay. Once I entering inside that means bringing the cursor here. So getting the focus and changing the color of the background. So becoming green. So this is on blur and on focus. Now we'll see another example on load. So you can see this page here. Here in the body I have written on load. As this page get loaded, call this function my message. What is my message here? So my message is doing one alert from the onload event. So one alert message will come. You can write anything whatever you want to here. You want to give pop-up window and all. You can just put it here, window.open, and make up one pop-up window with URL. It will work with the pop-up. It depends what kind of logic you want inside that. You want to maintain cookies, you can write the code here. Okay, so you understood the onload here. Now on change. Let us have a one drop down box, and that drop down box is having multiple values, and I want to perform the change here, right? You can see here the list is there. So I made one select ID browser on change preferred browser, and option is Internet Explorer Netscape. So if I select Netscape, this function will call preferred browser. Preferred browser is here. Now what this guy is doing? Document.form 0 means first form, only one form in this, dot browser dot value. What is the value? So I'll get a value here and the message will come, you prefer browsing internet with Netscape. So Netscape value will come here. I hope you understood this on change, right? So on change event we can apply with some drop down. Let us understand now key event. If someone press the key on the keyboard, some event will happen. So you can notice here I have a two text field. right? Okay, so okay, good. So look at now. I have made one form here, and in the form, what I am doing here, we are making one two field here, two text box, right? This is my one text box, another text box. Name is my input, right? And then second is the my second input, right? Here we are saying on key up. As I press the key up in this box, it will call write message function. Write message function is defined here. Now it will call it and say document dot form, first form, dot my second input, right? This one, dot value. Store the value in this box. What? Document dot forms dot my input dot value. Whatever value here, just keep it here. So if you type J, it will type here also. If you type A, it will type here also. M, it will type here. E, it will type here. S, it will type here. Like this. As you type and say key up, it will call and type J. If you say A, it will call up on key up, call the methods and say A. So parallelly, it will write in both the text box. So we understood the keyboard event, how we can say key up and key down, key press is there. These are the events we have in a keyboard based event, right? Now another interesting example, if I click on some image, it will have a sound on that. So if I say I have one picture of dog, if I click on this dog, it will work. Okay. So you can see the function here. I made one function play f, and here we are writing that image src dog one on click call this function, and I am passing one file name here, that sound file name. This will go here and call this function, right? So document dot get element by id tt. What is the tt? This is pan id dot inner html equal to. So once I click, it will call this function and saying that embed sound file hidden true, auto start true, loop false. So this file will embed it and start playing, right? Because I said auto start equal to true, automatically play it, right? Hidden equal to true means what? Here you will not get any kind of play button that you click then it will play. No, not required. It is hidden. Automatically it will start and say whoa, whoa, like that, right? And loop equal to false. So we are not running the, we are not doing any iteration. Plus image, the same image will come back again. So if I click, it will display the image as well as the sound. Again I click, it will display the, means run the sound. It will come a music in the background. You will get the voice of this dog. Okay. You can download this mp3 file .mp3 sound dog barking .mp3 from net, and you just put it in near to your folder and just run this file and click on the image. So I hope you understood this, how to work with event, JavaScript event, okay, and how to generate sound on click, how to give some effect on click, on select, on change, right? The next another target which we have, that DOM objects. There are some other objects, the DOM object which we have to learn in JavaScript here. Okay, so that's all about understanding of the JavaScript event.